Look at this world. It spins alone in the frozen darkness, tilted on its side like a broken toy abandoned by the cosmos. From Earth, it appears as a pale blue dot, serene and distant. We called it Uranus, the ice giant. But that name hides a terrible truth. This is not a planet. This is a corpse. Uranus died billions of years ago, and something brought it back wrong. Let me take you there. Imagine traveling nearly 2 billion miles from the warmth of the sun. Can you feel the distance growing? The sun shrinks behind you, becoming dimmer and dimmer until it is no longer a source of life. It is just another star, cold and indifferent. We have arrived. Before you floats a world unlike any other in our solar system. It is beautiful in a haunting way. A smooth sphere of pale cyan blue, glowing softly against the void. No violent storms like Jupiter, no dramatic rings like Saturn, just silence, just stillness. It looks peaceful, but do not be fooled. If you were to descend toward Uranus, you would notice something immediately wrong. The planet is not spinning like Earth. It is not standing upright like the other worlds. Uranus is lying on its side. Its axis is tilted 98 degrees. Imagine Earth spinning like a wheel rolling down a hill. That is Uranus. Its north pole points almost directly at the sun. For 42 Earth years, one hemisphere bakes in dim sunlight. For the next 42 years, it freezes in total darkness. An 84-year-long day and night cycle. This is not natural. This is the scar of a catastrophe. Scientists believe that billions of years ago, Uranus was a normal planet. It spun upright. It had a stable orbit. But then something came. A rogue planet. A massive object, perhaps twice the size of Earth, hurtling through the early solar system like a bullet. It struck Uranus. Not a glancing blow, a direct, devastating impact. The collision was so violent that it knocked the entire planet onto its side. The energy released was unimaginable. Uranus shattered. Its core cracked. Its magnetic field broke. For a brief moment, this world was nothing but molten chaos and shattered fragments. By all laws of physics, it should have been destroyed completely. But it didn't die. It reformed. It healed. But it came back wrong. As you approach closer, the temperature begins to drop. Uranus is the coldest planet in our solar system, not Neptune, Uranus. The cloud tops reach temperatures of -224 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze nitrogen solid, cold enough to turn carbon dioxide into dry ice. Your spacecraft would frost over instantly. Ice crystals would form on every surface. Your instruments would begin to fail. But the cold is not what should scare you. The real horror is what that cold reveals. Most planets radiate heat. Earth radiates warmth from its molten core. Jupiter glows with internal energy. Even distant Neptune radiates more heat than it receives from the sun. But Uranus is different. It is nearly dead inside. The core should be hot. It should be alive with geological activity. But it is not. Uranus radiates almost no internal heat. It is as if the planet's heart stopped beating. The impact that tilted it billions of years ago did not just knock it over. It killed something deep inside. And yet the planet still spins. It still orbits, a ghost moving through the void. You descend deeper. The pale blue atmosphere grows thicker. Uranus has no solid surface. It is a gas giant, but calling it that is misleading. Beneath the hydrogen and helium clouds, there is no rocky core like Jupiter. Instead, there is something far stranger, a thick slushy mantle of water, methane and ammonia ice compressed under crushing pressure. Scientists call this an ice giant, but this ice is not cold. Deep inside Uranus, the pressure is so extreme that ice becomes hot. Superionic ice. a bizarre state of matter where oxygen atoms lock into a crystal lattice while hydrogen atoms flow freely like a liquid. It conducts electricity. It defies intuition. It is ice that burns. And then there is the magnetic field. On Earth, our magnetic field is stable. It protects us from solar radiation. It points north, but Uranus has no north. Its magnetic field is tilted 59 degrees off its rotational axis. Worse, the magnetic field does not originate from the core. It is offset. It wobbles. As Uranus rotates, its magnetic field corkscrew through space like a broken compass spinning wildly. This is not the field of a living planet. This is the field of a broken one. When the Voyager 2 spacecraft flew past Uranus in 1986, its instruments detected this chaos. Scientists could not explain it. They still cannot. It is as if the planet's internal structure was shattered and never fully recovered. But Uranus is not alone. It has 27 known moons. Most are small, dark, and dead. But 5 are large enough to be worlds of their own: Miranda, Ariel, Umbriel, Titania, Oberon. They orbit in the plane of Uranus's equator. Since the planet is tilted on its side, the moons orbit vertically. Imagine a Ferris wheel spinning in the dark. That is the Uranian system, and every single one of these moons is strange. Miranda is the strangest. When Voyager 2 photographed it, scientists were horrified. This tiny moon, only 470 kilometers across, looks like it was smashed apart and reassembled incorrectly. Its surface is a chaotic mess of cliffs, valleys, and ridges that should not exist. There are ice cliffs 20 kilometers high. On a moon with such low gravity, falling off one of these cliffs would take 10 minutes. You would fall in slow motion, watching the frozen ground rise up to meet you. Miranda should be a smooth ball of ice. Instead, it looks like broken pottery glued back together. Scientists believe it was destroyed, shattered by a massive impact. And then gravity pulled the pieces back together, but the pieces did not fit. Miranda is a moon that died and came back wrong, just like its parent planet. You might wonder, if Uranus is so broken, why hasn't it collapsed? Why hasn't it disintegrated into rings and debris? The answer is gravity. Gravity does not care if a planet is broken. It does not care if a world is tilted or dead inside. Gravity simply holds. Uranus is held together by the same force that broke it. It is a prison of its own mass. And then there are the storms. For decades, we thought Uranus was calm, a featureless blue sphere. But in recent years, advanced telescopes have revealed the truth. Uranus has storms. Massive white clouds of methane ice crystals erupt from the depths. They appear suddenly, grow to the size of continents, and then vanish. We do not know why. We do not know what triggers them. One theory is that deep inside the slushy mantle, pockets of methane gas build up pressure. Eventually, they burst through the cloud layers like volcanic eruptions. But there is no heat source, no core activity. So where is the energy coming from? Perhaps it is leftover energy from the ancient impact. Perhaps Uranus is still dying, very, very slowly. If you were to stand on one of Uranus's moons during the long night, you would see something unforgettable. The sun would be a distant pinprick of light. Uranus itself would dominate the sky, a massive, pale blue sphere hanging overhead. But it would not look right. Because of the axial tilt, the planet would appear to roll across the sky. Its rings, thin and dark, would sometimes be edge-on and invisible. Other times, they would open up like the eye of a giant slowly waking. You would watch in silence as this broken world spins, and you would feel it, the wrongness, the sense that you are staring at something that should not exist. Uranus has 13 known rings. They are not like Saturn's bright, icy rings. They are dark, made of chunks of rock and organic material. Some scientists believe these rings are the remains of moons, moons that wandered too close and were torn apart by tidal forces. Or perhaps they are leftover debris from the ancient collision. Fragments of the rogue planet that struck Uranus. Pieces of the killer, forever orbiting the victim. And what about life? Could anything survive on Uranus or its moons? The answer is almost certainly no. The temperatures are too extreme, the radiation is too harsh, there is no liquid water, no energy source. But life is stubborn. On Earth, we have found microbes living in frozen lakes beneath Antarctica. We have found bacteria thriving in radioactive waste. Life does not need comfort. It only needs chemistry. And Uranus has chemistry. Deep in its mantle, under crushing pressure, strange reactions may be occurring. Organic molecules mixing, ammonia and methane combining in ways we do not yet understand. Could there be something alive down there? Something that evolved in the dark, high-pressure depths? We do not know. We have only visited Uranus once. For a few brief hours in 1986, Voyager 2 flew past. It took photographs, it measured magnetic fields, and then it continued into the darkness, never to return. But a new mission is being planned. NASA is considering sending a probe to Uranus, not just a flyby, an orbiter, a craft that would spend years studying this broken world. It would map the magnetic field, it would analyze the storms, it would study the moons. Perhaps it would even drop a probe into the atmosphere, descending through layers of methane clouds, falling deeper and deeper into the crushing blue abyss, transmitting data until the pressure finally destroys it. What would it find? What secrets are hidden in the heart of this dead planet? For now, Uranus spins alone, tilted, silent, cold. A world that should not exist. A planet that died and somehow refused to stay dead. Its broken magnetic field spirals through space. Its dark rings circle endlessly. Its moons tumble in vertical orbits. And deep inside, beneath the clouds and the Superionic ice, something waits. Perhaps it is just physics. Perhaps it is just chemistry. Or perhaps it is something we do not yet have words for. Look at Uranus. Really look at it. It is pale. It is quiet. It looks harmless. But you are staring at a graveyard. A world that was murdered billions of years ago. A planet that healed incorrectly. Its core is cold. Its magnetic field is shattered. Its moons are broken. And yet it endures. This is the lesson of Uranus. The universe does not care if you are broken. It does not care if you were destroyed and rebuilt wrong. Gravity will hold you together. Time will keep moving. You will continue to exist. Not because you are strong, not because you are whole, but because the cosmos has no mercy. It does not allow you to rest. Uranus is not a planet. It is a warning, a reminder that even death is not final. Even destruction can be survived. But survival does not mean healing. Sometimes you come back, but you come back wrong. And in the cold, tilted silence of the outer solar system, Uranus spins on, waiting, watching, a broken king ruling over a kingdom of ghosts.